Hello and welcome back to What I Wished I'd Known When I First Started Self-Publishing or its variations thereof. I am Karlie with Dragon Key Press, and I'm sorry if there is a discernible difference in my microphone quality. I recently moved and I'm still trying to figure out the best way to adjust all of my environment and everything else. That being said, I had hoped to go into detail this week about Microsoft Word and dealing with styles and formatting, but I think it might not be a bad idea to go ahead and just kind of randomly real talk on various who's its, what's its, etc. I recently published Moving the Zoo, which you may or may not have been aware of. I have actually had to schedule a lot of episodes in advance to just kind of pop up and post along while I've moved, and it's been kind of nice to have that buffer, but I'm running out of buffer, and figured, whatever. So, in regards to Moving the Zoo, I was pleasantly surprised to actually see, with minimal effort of any advertising, promotion, etc., I've actually sold about 20 copies in the last month, which for a self-published author is actually pretty good. In fact, it's probably one of the biggest sales I've had in a hot minute, especially considering I really haven't done much marketing in this past year. It's just been one of those things where life just gets crazy and hectic and you just either don't have the funds for it because, inflation and other things, bills comes first, or other things just keep cropping up and you just have to take care of those first. And as a self-publishing author, you have to worry about those things coming up. And sometimes they dig into the time you have to work on your craft, whether it be writing, editing, formatting, promoting, publishing, or whatever aspect of it you may be at this point. So I just wanted to reach out and let everybody know, if you have roadblocks that happen because real life is a thing, don't feel discouraged and don't feel like you're a failure simply because real life has kicked you in the teeth and basically taken all of your lunch money, figuratively speaking, so that you don't have the time, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, or whatever. It's okay, because even professionals occasionally have that time where things just go to crap and they just can't do a thing about it, and the real life has to come first. Not that writing isn't part of real life, but if you're feeling guilty for not actually working on any of your projects because things just keep coming up, just stop. Seriously. Even the professionals, like I say, have their moments, and a lot of professionals are still called amateurs and are told that what they do is a hobby, even though they are millionaires off of the work they do. So just because you're not to that point yet, and you may not be as consistent as you think you should be, doesn't mean you are failing as an author or a self-publisher or anything that has anything to do with that, or anything else for that matter. Real life happens. Stupidity happens, tragedy happens, crap happens. And if you can't get it all together one day, you can always try again the next. I've had my moments of months worth of no inspiration whatsoever. And it has sucked, and I've felt like a failure. And my dear sweet husband has had to remind me that sometimes, especially if you end up in survival mode, surviving is more important than creating. And then once you get past that survival mode and feel like you're actually living again, the creativity returns and you're able to actually do those things again. Of course, sometimes that really doesn't work because deadlines, and people thrive under different types of pressure. Some people thrive under deadlines, and in that case, by all means, give yourself deadlines, and if you don't meet them, give yourself just a little grace, but also, try to do better and just remind yourself, you did pretty good for what you got done. And if they're hard, firm deadlines and you don't meet them, then you can beat yourself up a bit more. Otherwise, just keep on going. That's one of the freedoms of being a self-publisher, is you get to set your own deadlines, which can also be a curse and a blessing, one of those double-edged swords, because if you aren't committed and you don't keep consistent, you can fall behind or you can rationalize or things like that. So what I'm saying is, real life sucks and it happens, but don't necessarily use it as a reason to rationalize not working on your craft. The creativity will come and go, and during the periods where it's just not happening, it's sometimes best not to force yourself, because then you might actually end up with a boatload of crap. I mean, it's been said that when you're writing a draft, all you're doing is putting sand into the sandbox, and then when you're editing, you're actually building the sandcastle. And that's true, but sometimes when you're writing crap, just because you're forcing yourself to do it, just because some such or other said this is what you're supposed to be a serious author, you're actually probably doing yourself a disservice. When you have the mood and all of the stars align, by all means, just run with it and go, 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 go. But realize that mentally, physically, and even emotionally, you need downtime. And there will be times when you cannot create, when you cannot get it together. And it's completely and totally okay. Like I said, I've had my moments. Moving the Zoo is actually the first book I've done in a hot minute, about a year. I am working on random projects every now and again, and they're fun, and then things happen and I don't get back around to them for a while. And yes, I do feel guilty about it, but at the same time, is forcing myself to write something without the inspiration really worth the battle? And I've had to remind myself that if I'm not writing inspired, the characters aren't going to talk to me. They're going to hate what I've written. They're going to complain anyway. And in the revision process, it's going to basically turn into something completely and totally different. Or the characters will just stop talking to me entirely. I don't know if that's how your characters are with you when you're writing, but for me, that's a real thing. So sometimes forcing yourself is not a good thing. Sometimes forcing yourself is a good thing. And you're going to just kind of have to sit back and evaluate what kind of person you are, what motivates you to be creative, to write, to edit, to format, to whatever. If you need the deadlines, do the deadlines. If you need that open creativity of Panster doing it organically, find what works best for you. This is not a one-size-fits-all by any means, and I'm just trying to give you the basics of everything to make it work the best way for you. You can totally take everything I have said with a grain of salt. You can totally do whatever you jolly well feel like with any of it. But there are, of course, obviously some standards which I have touched upon. And there are basics with formatting and how to do things. But, just like Picasso, you learn the rules and then you break them. He went off and did his own thing. He used the basic tools, he used the basic rules, and then he went and did his own thing. And that is the fun thing about self-publishing. You can do that. You can go and do your own thing. You can do things your own way. You can write whatever you want, whether it's mainstream or not, niche or not. And it may not sell well, but, you got to define your own version of success. For some people, it's getting something in print. For some people, it's having 50 million copies sold and being on the bestsellers list of who knows what publication, magazine, website, etc. For others, it's just putting that book in the hand of somebody who actually appreciates it. So, define what success is to you. Define what motivates you. Define how to best serve your talents and your goals. And if there are down times, down moments, and things happen, don't get too frustrated. Just know that it's part of life and it's going to happen, and it happens to the best of us. I have done pretty well for myself in the past 10 years. I have published pretty much 10, 11 books now. And that's a pretty good average, especially considering I'm not being all that formulaic like some of those other books where they put one out a month. And, there's nothing wrong with that. Other people have goals that are putting out that one formulaic book a month. It's all a matter of what you want, what works for you, and what audience you are aiming for. So don't forget to seriously consider all of those things when you're getting everything put together. I'm sorry if this has been a little incohesive today. I have been dealing with migraines, which is something I have been dealing with for years. So keep that in mind. Your own physical disabilities and limitations may also apply to what is going on and how much work, writing or otherwise, you can do. So don't beat yourself up if you don't get as much done as you think you should be able to do when your own body and mental emotional health says no. Because without those, you don't have the creativity. Take a moment to take care of yourself, figure out what you need to do, and then get going again. It may take a while. It's taken me a lot of time sometimes, but it'll come back. You just have to be patient. You have to know your limitations and just kind of go with it. And yeah, I guess this is just the main gist of my real talk this time. I'm hoping that next week I can actually get into writing styles, and hopefully I will have a better sound going on with my mic once I figure out all the dynamics of the new location, because hey, I just found my microphones in the box yesterday, so I'm really not set up, but I needed to get something out for this weekend. But don't give up if things don't seem to be going the way you want them to be, okay? No matter how hard things may seem now, you will eventually look back and pat yourself on the back and say, I did that. I struggled, but I soldiered on, and I climbed that mountain, and it feels good. So don't let the hard times get you down. And don't forget to celebrate even the little wins, because sometimes it's all I can do to get at the computer and write a paragraph. If that's all you end up doing today, you did good. I am Karlie with Dragon Key Press. This has been a real talk, and I hope that it has given you some encouragement and some motivation, and if nothing else, helped you to not feel quite so bad about anything you may be kind of feel like you're slacking on. Anyway, feel free to comment, like, subscribe, etc. I will try to answer, or at least thumbs up any comments you send, depending on what kind of comment they are. And I hope to see you next time.